Well, hello, everyone. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back to this podcast. This is episode number 8 of Whipcast. I hope you are all doing very well. We're doing something a little bit different for this episode. For those of you who are watching this video, you already are very aware of the more exciting element that's been added to this particular episode. I've got a camera rolling on the left, and it's going to be a little bit tricky to work with because unfortunately, unfortunately, the type of camera that I'm using is a Canon DSLR, T3i to be exact, and after every 12 minutes, the video automatically shuts off and we have to restart it. So that's going to be it's going to be a little challenging element, but I think it's going to be okay and we'll make it work. So, with that being said, if you're listening to this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes, if you want to see me sitting in a chair and having a conversation with myself instead of just listening to that happening, head over to youtube.com/NicksWhipShop and you can watch this video. A few things I want to talk about, kind of some current events that are going on with the channel, some ideas that I have. Number one, if this is your first time ever listening to this podcast, there's a few things that you can do to help out the channel or to help out Nick's Whip Shop in general. Number one is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That really helps the channel go up in popularity. More people subscribe, more people watch, and it just kind of spreads the word of whip making. Number two, if you want to further your support, you can head over to patreon.com/NicksWhipShop, where you can donate what you feel you're getting out of the channel, and that really helps me to be able to continue making these educational whip making and whip related videos. Also, I started selling crackers, nylon spun crackers on nickswhipshop.com. They come in packs of 12. There's 3 different weights that you can buy. There's light, medium, and heavy, and they're coming in packs of 12. Pretty much 12 for 12 crackers. I think that's the price I have. And I'm not by any means saying that my crackers are better than anyone else's. It's sort of a way you can support the channel, and in doing so, you get something out of it in addition to the videos. So, nickswhipshop.com, the whip accessories page, you can find these nylon black crackers. I tested them out today very heavily, and they work great. I want to bring to your attention a great website called whipnation.com, run by a fellow named Roy Parton. I became aware of this website probably a couple of months ago, and what it is it's kind of a one-size-fits-all place where you can shop for whip-related materials, and it's just all in one. You don't have to shop around, go to this site for this material, go over here for this. It's just a great place where you can find numerous whip making supplies. I just purchased some. I can say purchased. I just purchased some 650 coreless parachute cord, a big spool of 500 feet from Roy Parton on whipnation.com, and I didn't realize how much time that I was spending pulling inner strands out of parachute cord. It really cuts down the whip making time to have, that ability to save that time and not have to pull all those guts out. Also, it comes very flat on the spool, so it makes plating a lot more easy, and it's great. I love it. I'll probably be shopping there until further notice for almost all of my whip making supplies. That's whipnation.com. Oh, let's see. What else is going on? Well, I've been working on a video for a 12-foot, 20-plat bullwhip with 3 plated bellies. It's for a customer who is actually a cattle rancher, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. He actually requested that I film, that I film the building process of his whip, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to make a tutorial or to show you guys how I personally make one of these whips. So besides that, not a whole lot going on. Storm chasing season is coming up pretty soon, and I'm really excited to get back out in the plains and photograph and film the beautiful forces of nature. It's a passion of mine, and you'll see a lot of that on my second channel, youtube.com/Nick Schrader. If you're into that, you can check it out. Actually, I anticipate one of these days I'm going to be doing a podcast, perhaps from a hotel out in the Great Plains. So that's going to be something kind of cool. I want to do that a couple times at least, just for the experience. I took up a Cessna 172 a couple days ago. Stayed in the pattern, did a few landings. That was fun. It was kind of windy again, but what are you going to do? I taught my Siamese cat a new trick.
Good girl.
And with that being said, I'm Nick Schrader, and you are listening to Whipcast. I feel like this podcast is going really rough right now. Hopefully I'm the only one that feels that way, but I kind of doubt it. I think it might be because I have the camera rolling over here and I'm worried about the, timing it right, and I'm worrying about how hard it's going to be to to edit the audio and sync it with the video, because I don't know. It'll be okay. Let's get on to some questions, shall we? We didn't wait 2 months this time in between episodes, so I think that's going to greatly help this episode not to be unnecessarily long. We'll see. We'll see about that. Okay. Ray. Hey, Nick, I have a dilemma. I'm trying to deal about my attempt at making my first whip. You got a minute? I do, Ray. Please, by all means, post your question, and I will do my best to answer it live on this podcast. Josie asks, how long are the bellies of the whips that I make? And to answer that question, they vary in length, but mostly if a whip has two plated bellies and an overlay, each belly is 1/3. The first belly is 1/3 the overall length of the whip. The second belly is 2/3, and obviously the overlay is, you guessed it, 3/3, or the overall length of the whip. Hope that answers your question, Josie. That's the way I do it. Shrimp1112. A comment, does the paracord have to be the one with 7 inner strands? That parachute cord, Shrimp 111112, too many ones, maybe. I don't know. Too many ones next to each other. Yes, I recommend the 550 parachute cord with the 7 strands inside, because if you get parachute cord with fewer strands, it's going to be, the overall diameter of that parachute cord might be smaller, and it just won't work out. To eliminate those questions, I recommend the 7-strand 550 stuff, military type 3 parachute cord. But it doesn't have to be, but I recommend it. I think you're going to have a better result if you use the 7-strand 550 military grade parachute cord. Sarah, where do you get the leather for the heel knot foundation? Well, when I was using leather, I'm not anymore, I was getting it from local arts and crafts stores. Hobby Lobby and Michael's were the two that I was finding most of the leather from. It was coming in bags that I would find in the leather section of the store, and there were these $7 bags of leather scraps, and within those scraps I would find a lot of 10-ounce cowhide that I would use. But something has changed, and you'll see this in a new video that I have coming up. I now use a stuff called neoprene. It's a rubber material similar to what you would find in car tires, and most of the stuff is 1/4 inch thick that I use, and you can get that at Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc. Neoprene, Neoprene, and it's great stuff. And if you're having a hard time finding leather, neoprene might be for you. And I think it just works better. So check that out, Sarah. Or if you want to use leather, Michael's Hobby Lobby is where I was getting it. Asterisk Worm says, I'm learning a lot between you and Bernie. Keep it up. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, Asterisk. I learned so much from Bernie Wojcicki, Bernie 46. God bless him. He was a great man, very patient with his time, and he put out so many great videos. And if you haven't watched Bernie 46 is what his YouTube channel name is. I recommend you check him out because he had a way of explaining things, just such a hands-on. You felt like you were in there. You were in the shop with them. Those of you who don't know, Bernie unfortunately passed away about a year ago, a little more than a year, and he was. I had the privilege of cracking a few of his whips, and what a craftsman he was, and I really appreciate hearing that from you, Asterisk, that I've helped you through my videos, and that Bernie has as well. So that's very great to know. Thank you for the comment. Potatoes and Gravy as a comment says, it's so cute, COOT. That is a comment on the Micro Pocket Snake Whip. Thank you so much. I'm thinking about bringing those back into the picture again. We'll see. Phasma Gamer. I think that's how you say that. Have you made a whip out of multicolored rainbow nylon? I have not, but I've seen a lot of people do it, and it's a pretty cool looking whip. Have you noticed that I'm not naming every single video? So and so commented on the Los Angeles whip making video. You know, like this is something that it was so unnecessary. I didn't have to name every single video that you guys were commenting on. So that's something that's gonna make this podcast flow more smoothly. I think I mentioned in the beginning, like, I don't really know what I'm doing with a podcast. Before I knew that any of you would even be interested in it, I was so much more relaxed. Now that I know that you guys are actually listening, I'm a little bit more like, okay, I gotta please you guys. I gotta make this something that you're interested in. So I'm trying to make this a smoother process. I'm really not that great at sitting down and having a conversation with myself, if you haven't already noticed, but I'm trying. And I hope you guys, if you're listening to this, you must like it, so I'm doing something right. Anyways, trying to make this a smoother experience for both of us, for all of us. So we'll see. A comment from Jesse. How fun. Thanks for making this video. That was on the LA Whip Meet video. At times, it's appropriate to say what video that they commented on, so thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate that. Fight Squad 67. Hey Nick, I cannot get the turn's head down. Any tips? I believe you mean Turk's head. Practice. There's two things that I recommend you do to get the Turk's head knot down. Number one is going up and hitting that 1/2 speed button on your YouTube player. That's number one. And number two, I recommend you slow down and practice. Like making Turk's head knots was something that took me so long to finally get consistent at, to where I wasn't making the same mistakes every time. So it takes a lot of time. Just be patient and practice. Let's see here. No stress, Mike. Must be nice, Mike. Thank you. Good video. It is nice to know what it takes to make and the name of each section of a bullwhip. You are welcome, No Stress, Mike. Thank you so much for watching. Another comment from Phasma Gamer. Have you done a whip with a tie-dye nylon in the background at 1 hour, 8 minutes, 41 seconds to 1 hour? Yes, not for an overlay. I think that's the green nylon you're talking about. I'm just checking my time on the camera there. Only for the overlays. I never thought that would look good for an only for the bellies. I used it just to use it up. I bought it on a spool and I was like, I got to use this up. So I just use it for the bellies. Not for the overlay though, no. Another comment from Phasma Gamer. I would think it would be one of a kind, except I'm making one, but I don't have enough cord yet. I thought 50 feet of cord would work. You need a little more than 50 feet of cord for the 3-foot snake whip, unfortunately. Justin. Great channel, Nick. Thank you, Justin. I live in Austria, so it's difficult to find comparable materials. I've found suppliers for most materials you use. Can't get the double-sided floor mat tape and the sinker cord here. Also, the artificial sinew is almost impossible to get. Any suggestions what I can use instead, or where to order in Australia? Instead of artificial sinew, nylon string would work. Kite string would work. Oh, that's a shame. I'm sorry you don't have any access to that stuff. For the sinker cord, that's for the core. You could use 650 parachute cord. As I mentioned earlier, you can get on whipnation.com. Pretty sure Roy ships internationally. If he doesn't, you can find 650 parachute cord on eBay or Amazon. And that stuff's great. You can actually feed the BBs into that, grind down the end of your 1/4-inch steel rod, and fit the 650 parachute cord over the steel rod, and that becomes your BB-loaded core. And for the in place of the artificial sinew, you can use kite string or nylon string. That's my best suggestion for alternatives for those two materials that you listed there. A comment from John. Love your videos. What do you do with all the whips you make? Or do you make them to order and just film them? That's a great question. Probably 99% of the whips that I make are custom orders. Every now and then when orders are slow, I'll just make whips and sell them in my in-stock, on my in-stock specials page on nickswhipshop.com. But mostly they're all orders. And sometimes a customer will order a whip, and I'll say, I'm going to choose this whip and make a video on it. Like Javier, who ordered the 12-foot 20-plat nylon bullwhip that I'm almost done with now. Javier requested that I make a video, and I thought, that'd be a great video. I think you guys would enjoy it, so I did it. So most of the video tutorials you see are actually custom whips that people are ordering, and I'm just deciding to say, I'll take this opportunity to film a video tutorial. And oftentimes the customers really like that. They like to see the build process of their whip. They find it fascinating, and I think it's fun. Drew commented and said, I'm a beginner in making whips. Would you be able to make a current in-depth tutorial on how you are currently making your whips? Yes, I plan on doing that. Shortly after this 12-foot whip video is done, I'll get onto this. So yes, Drew, that's coming up. Moape, thanks, Nick. As always, very useful videos. Learned a lot from you. Thank you so much, Moape. I appreciate that. That was a comment on the Bird's Eye plat. Agent Gill 96 could put a few links on the stuff you use. I'm wanting to make a whip as well. Yes, I'll add more links to the specific materials that I used. That's on the Bird's Eye plat video. Grant, thank you, Grant. Thanks, Nick. Great work. Great video. I appreciate it. Isaiah says, what is 13.6 on the Bird's Eye plat video? So we're going to find that out right now. Let's see. What is 13.6? 13 minutes. Let's see. This is going to be so hard to edit. I know it is. I don't care. 13.6. Bear with me, guys. Oh, that's the plating sequence. Right. Under 1 over 2, under 1 over 1, under 2 over 1. That's the sequence that I'm plating. That's what that is. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's see. I lost my spot, I believe. Let's see. There we are. Burger Bandit. Good to see you again, my friend. Yes, I've been dying trying to figure out how to do it. It's so confusing to me. That's on the Bird's Eye Plat. You are welcome. I always thought it was a really confusing pattern myself. And it looks very confusing. And when I started, it felt very confusing. But if you watch the video, you'll see, or you'll hear me say along the way, your brain just starts to pick it up. My cat is sleeping very violently over there. She's dreaming and flailing her legs around. But yeah, it's muscle memory. You'll plate a strand, and then it comes at you at once. If any of you are musicians, you'll see what I mean, and you can kind of make that connection. If you're learning a song, you're playing, and then it's just so, you see it just as a mess, and all of a sudden it just clicks, and you're like, oh, I see it now. And it's similar for that. So Burger Bandit, I'm glad that I made this pattern come into light, and I'm glad that I was able to help you learn it. Shane says, Sup, Shane. How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Bladude X. Another familiar face. Glad to see you back. Who else knows this plat by Egyptian Eye Plat? I never did, but the Egyptian Eye is very similar to the Bird's Eye Plat. Multi-Trick Pony. Yo, nice video. Thank you. Here's a comment from Adam of Whipworks. Adam, your videos are looking very nice lately, man. I really like the cinematography that you're integrating into your videos. It looks great. Adam from Whipworks. Check him out, Whipworks. He's got some good stuff. I really like your new line of whips that have the cast aluminum animal heads threaded on the heels of your whips. Those look really sharp, Adam. Great video, Nick. Eerily similar to the video I released today. Yeah, this is so funny. Adam over at Whipworks, another whip-making YouTube channel, posted a video. Adam posted a video of what he calls the Egyptian plat. And actually, who else just made a comparison? Yeah, Xblued X said, does anyone know this is the Egyptian Eye? And it's so funny because Adam uploaded a video of him showing how to do the Egyptian Eye, which is so similar to the Bird's Eye Plat. And we both did our whips, or at least our thumbnail pictures, are in lime green and black. And I'm thinking, oh man, he's just going to think that I whipped this video together in 2 hours just to like one up him or something. And I didn't do that. I just thought it was the craziest thing that just so happened to turn out like that. I thought it was crazy. But it did. It turned out. It was a really coincidental thing. But yeah, check out Adam from Whipworks. Your whips are looking sharp, man. MW Direct. Great video. Unfortunately, the sappy opening music made me throw up in my mouth a little bit, so I couldn't continue watching past 4 seconds. Wow, man. I'm sorry you felt that way. Wow. I've never... That's on the Bird's Eye Plat pattern. That was me playing guitar. But classical guitar styled music isn't for everyone. So that's all right. Mute the video and watch it, because I think you'll still pick up some valuable tips from the video. So, yeah. Eric says, love the different camera views. You should start doing that with all tutorials. Keep making podcasts. I ran out of podcasts to listen to while making whips. Well, you got another one here, Eric, and thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you like the multi-camera angles. I wasn't sure if that would work or not, but apparently it did, and thank you. I'll try to do it again soon. I don't think it's necessary for every video, but if it's a really intricate pattern, like the bird's eye plat, I think it's helpful. Kenneth, you play guitar? It sounds so nice. Would you consider doing any sort of tutorials on that? Thank you. You're very kind, Kenneth. I appreciate it. Not really. I could. I wouldn't probably be on this YouTube channel. But if I did, it'd be on a different channel. But I'll mention it to you guys maybe at the end of a video if I decide to do it. I did give guitar lessons when I was in high school for probably 6 months or something, just beginner stuff. But since then, I haven't done any lessons on that. So Max says, cool pattern, bro. Thank you, Max. I appreciate it. Ethan Van Gotham. Hey, man. Thanks for the great videos. I made a few whips from your YouTube tutorials, but I don't have any leather for the Turk's knots or transitions. Do you know any other material that works for foundations? And yes, that neoprene that I mentioned a little bit earlier is a great alternative to leather. Actually, not only an alternative, but I think it's a good replacement. So yes. Yeah. He's the Bob Ross of whipmaking by JLW. Thank you so much. Connor from Caliber Whips. That's a nice variation of the bird's eye plat that I do. Great job. Thank you. I appreciate it, Connor. Sunshine X. Could you make a video on whip holsters? That's an interesting idea. I've never made a whip holster before, but I could look into doing that for sure. Martinez, nice whip. Thank you so much. Danny says, bro. Thanks, Danny. Josie says, you are a man of many talents. I appreciate that. Great job. Thank you so much. We have a comment in Russian. So, I'm going to copy it as suggested by one of you last time and go to Google Translate. And we're going to paste it. Should I try to answer you in Russian? That could be a disaster. I like the video very much. Author, big thanks. Oh, you are very welcome. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to try to respond to you in Russian because I want to. Should I really do this? I don't know. Okay, why not? This might be the Whipcast where I lose all of my listeners, but hey, you know. Mnie очень ponravилось video. Forget it. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Hello, after making your snake whip and coral snake whip, I try to make the bird's eyes. I see your two belly and the overlay, but I don't see how long is the core. Do you always use 5mm BBs? They're actually 4.5mm. Thanks for your answer. When will it be finished? I'll show it. When it's finished, I'll show it on Facebook. A faithful fan, Eric. Eric, thank you so much. The core, On my current method for making a nylon bullwhip, as you'll see in the video coming up pretty soon, the core runs just about the entire length of the whip. The last foot is not present because one of the dropped strands of the overlay becomes the core. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, you'll see what I mean in an upcoming video tutorial on my current 2018 method for making a nylon bullwhip. So hang in there, Eric. Video coming soon on that. La drop, from where you get the informations about the length. Strand length. You can find the strand lengths on nixwhipshop.com. There's a strand lengths section. I have all these different lengths sorted out for different length whips. So check that out, La drop. I think that'll help you. Andreas says, awesome guitar skills. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Andreas. Piggy101, Pig. Could I use ball or bull chain? Ball chain, yes, you can use ball chain for the center, for the core is what you mean. I used it for a few whips before, and I really like the results. The reason that I used BBs is because they're a little bit heavier, and I just like the way they feel a little more. So, personal preference thing, really. Hey Nick, does the movie What About Bob mean anything to you? And I actually saw this comment one day, and I had to reply on the spot. And I said, one of my all-time favorite films, White Rabbit. I asked that question. I love that film so much. It's pretty much strikes a chord with my humor. It's great. I love the scene where he's in the hospital and he's telling jokes. All the patients and all the doctors are gathered around, and he's cracking jokes, and they're all laughing. And then his therapist sees him, and he gets even more mad because like they all love him. He's like, there's nothing wrong with this guy, and they send him out. It's a good movie. Let's see. Kevin. Nick's Whip Shop. I am on my last layer of paracord and have 3 strands on each side. Is it okay to do over 2, under 1? Over 2, under 1. I wouldn't do that. I don't really see where the benefit would be for that. I would do under 2, over 1. If you have 3 strands on each side, you're in 6-plat. So the conventional way is to do under 2, over 1. I hope I said that right earlier. Under 2, over 1 is what you want. Maybe that's what you meant. You put over 2, under 1. But I would do the opposite of that. Under 2, over 1. So that's what I would do, Kevin. Robert. That wasn't a mistake. It was a signature. The little mistake I made on the Bird's Eye Plat video at the end that I showed. You could look at it that way. I like to look at it that way, actually. Let's go with that. Here's a comment from Sarah. Nick, would it be possible for me to put a transition knot on a snake whip? Sure it would. And I've done that a few times before. Daniel asks, can I use 12 strands, making it a 12-plat bullwhip for my Bird's Eye tutorial? Yes, you can. I don't know the sequence for that off the top of my head, but I could look into it. Excuse me. Krasnolud likes the color of the whip. Thank you. I thought it would be a nice lime green and black would really be easy to see what I was doing with the strands. So, thank you. Tibber says, brilliant work on the Bird's Eye Plat video. Thank you so much, Tibber. Ian says, Nick, I don't know much about bullwhips, but love your quiet, articulate instruction and quality mic. Thank you. This isn't even my microphone. Isn't that funny? This is my friend Danny Mosco's. Check out his website, southshoreaudio.com. If you're a musician and you need your music mixed after recording, southshoreaudio.com. This is kind of down here where I'm recording this podcast is kind of the studio, if you will. And we've recorded a lot of music down here. So my friend Danny, he just leaves all of his high quality microphones here. And I'm like, thanks, cool. He says sometimes, you sure it's not going to be in your way? It's all right. The box is going to be sitting here for a long time. These mic stands, everything. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. With the understanding, like, yeah, I can just pick up these nice mics and use them anytime I want. It's like I can't complain. So I'm glad you like the good quality mics, Ian. I appreciate that. I love them too. So it gets every stuttered word that I utter. So yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for subscribing too. I saw that. Very soothing. That's good to know. I'm glad. Barry says that zooming in and out, way beyond irritating. Don't do it anymore. Yes, sir. Yeah, that was a video on the making of a kangaroo hide bullwhip that I made with pre-cut overlay strands. I think it was 24 plat. Yes, it was. It was a 6-foot red black bullwhip. Yeah, I made that a long time ago. I won't do that anymore, Barry. I think my production value has increased a little bit since that video came out, so I'm a little bit more conscious of making you guys dizzy and myself. So I don't want to do any more of that. So no worries, no more of that, Barry. My friend Justin Hall of JJ Hall's Whip says, excellent job on the bird's eye plat. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Your videos are looking awesome, by the way. JJ Hall's Whips, guys. Check him out. He's my good friend from Arizona. Another comment from Sarah. Would a transition not work on a snake whip? Yes, it would. It definitely would. It wouldn't make it crack any better, as we discussed earlier. It just makes it look pretty much like a bullwhip with a really floppy handle. Something kind of cool. Just got this terrible feeling I wasn't recording. Whew, okay, we are. Okay. Luke says, thanks for the video, Nick. I have been I've been wanting to make a whip for a few months now, and I have watched a few of your videos before this one. As soon as I saw this video, I knew that this was the whip I am going to make. I also have already started making another whip, but I ran into that issue with the BBs. After that, I stopped. I appreciate you solving the problem for me. I sincerely thank you for the time and effort you put into your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Luke. I appreciate that, and I think you're talking about getting the BBs into the core strand. So I'm glad you have that figured out. And cheers, my friend. More videos to come. It's a comment from Cody. Just a suggestion, you can also turn square pieces of wood and make them cylindrical. It is also easier to find the center of a square piece of wood than a dowel. Thanks, Cody, and that was in reference to my wooden handles bullwhip video. And I've learned a lot from that video. Probably going to do a current video on things I've learned over the months using lathes. Things I've learned from you guys, helpful tips that you've given me that have made my wooden handle bullwhip attachment just a better experience and just a more secure fit. Using the threaded rod, using the epoxy you guys told me about. It's just been a better experience. And I do use square stock wood now, Cody. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Dr. Jones 503, comment on podcast number 7. Very nice whipcast. I may go next year. Hopefully I'll be able to come. It sounded fun. And he's talking about coming to the LA Whip Meet. I'd love to see you there, Dr. Jones. You will not be disappointed, my friend. Max M. Trigger. This says, put the beans to it. And that's an inside joke amongst the Nick's Whip Shop community. And maybe we should make t-shirts about that. I don't know. That's another question I had for you guys. Would you be interested in some merchandise, t-shirts, sweatshirts, with maybe the Nick's Whip Shop logo? Or I've got a cat jumping into the ceiling. I'm sorry. Would you guys be interested in some t-shirts with the logo on it, or some of these stupid inside jokes that we have? I don't know. I honestly don't know if you guys would want that or not. If you would, it'd be awesome to drop a comment and let me know. But yes, that's a classic, put the beans to it. A comment from Josh. Wait, no, this is in response to a comment. Yes. Von Tajay put a question on the podcast number 7 and said atheism with a question mark. And there was this long kind of discussion like, what atheism? What's going on? What is this? What is this? And people were trying to figure out, like, where does he talk about atheism? Because it's something you don't necessarily hear talked about on a whip-related channel, I guess. Everybody was trying to pinpoint, where was it? And I didn't remember where the timestamp was where I gave my thoughts on atheism. But you guys found it pretty quick, and yep, interesting. It's funny how fast you guys will find a certain topic that I mention in a podcast. I think that's awesome. Steve, here's a comment from Steve. Hey, Nick, what's up with your hands? Maybe carpal tunnel? Your hands kind of burn, then burn down your forearms. I had that in both hands. Surgery took care of it. Oh, man. Now my left hand, palm up, can't extend my thumb. Shooting pain, been 2 months now. It sucks. Sorry. You mentioned your hand, and that got me going. Love your videos. Going to get supplies and make a whip. Peace. I'm sorry to hear about that, Steve. That sounds very painful. I was having problems with my 2 index fingers, especially. They never used to be curved. My index fingers curve towards my pinkies, and that's because when I started making whips in 2011, I was very reckless with my body. I would be pulling on these strands, just completely naive and stupid. Not stupid per se, but I was just ignorant of repetitive strain injury, and I was making whips, as fast as I could, 1 a day, sometimes 2 a day, and I had that kind of, wow, I'm unstoppable as a whip maker. I can just keep cranking out these whips, and I ended up damaging my fingers. And every now and then, when I work a little too hard, put in a little too much time, putting in 12, 13, 15-hour days making whips constantly, the fingers start to hurt quite a bit. And I think it's in the joints. Nowadays, if I feel that happening, I stop for a day, maybe 2 days, and of course I finish the order on time that the whips are ordered, but I take a break. I take frequent breaks, and I'm thankful that I don't believe it to be carpal tunnel, as I don't have any of the pain in my wrists, but it's more in the fingers. But a video is going to be coming out very soon on how to protect, or my opinions, and how what I wish I had been told when I started making whips. As a result of the original tutorial, the 6 foot tutorial, thousands of you guys have been getting into whip making and starting businesses, and it's very important that you are aware that your hands are not invincible. And if you go every day pulling on the tips of your fingers, you are going to damage your fingers. So be careful. There's a video coming on that soon. And Steve, I'm so sorry to hear. I hope you heal up soon, my brother. I had an uncle who had carpal tunnel. I think he's recovered from it now after surgery, like you had. And sounds like a very painful experience, and I'm very sorry. I hope you heal up. Thank you for the comment, Steve. Here's a comment from Braden. Another. What part do you talk about atheism? I don't have much time to watch the whole episode. That seemed to be the hot topic for episode number 7, for Whipcast number 7. That's cool. I like it. That's what I wanted this podcast to be about. Well, not religion, but in particular, but I wanted it to be about other things in addition to whip making. That's exactly what I wanted. So if it takes a theological discussion to make that happen, so be it. Let's see here. A comment from Caliber Whips on podcast number 7. Hi, Nick. Great podcast so far. Thank you. I'm only halfway done with it because it's 11:17 p.m. and I'm getting tired. Anyway, you mentioned English eye fall hitches. I have a video talking about English eyes, and some of them can be thinner than 4-point fall hitches. Excuse me. Where was I? Oh, thinner than 4-point fall hitches, and some are, yes, much thicker. I plan on making a video making a whip and implementing the English eye, but I would definitely consider learning how to make them. They're actually growing on me. In fact, my last 3 whip orders have English eyes. Let me know if you're interested. I could give you some tips that could cut your learning time to a fraction. P.S. I love the longer podcast. It gives me something to listen to while I make whips and crackers. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Connor. I appreciate it, man. By the way, your latest video, that new Kevlar blue and red whip, is absolutely remarkable. That is a beautiful whip. The way that it cracked, the way that it rolled out. You were getting very good at whip making, my friend. And keep an eye on this guy, Connor Hack from Caliber Whips. You're getting good, man. You are getting very good at whip making. And you're going to be a world-class whip maker very shortly. I would imagine that you're going to be at the top. So keep doing what you're doing. And I'm not just saying that to make you feel good. I see huge potential in your work. Very, very seldomly do I see people pick something up so quickly like this. And you are progressing much faster than the average person. I can tell you have a passion for it. I can tell you care. I can tell that you want to make every whip better than the previous one. That's what it takes. And keep an eye out on Connor Hack, guys. This guy's getting very good. Thank you for the comment, Connor. That video in and of itself actually might have inspired me to learn the English eye. Wax and Prime. The roaster is still broken, but the oven works just fine. That's awesome. Wax and Prime uses his oven to heat up the wax, and I bet that's faster than using a Roastmaster. My Roastmaster is on the ragged edge of just rusting away and falling apart, but it keeps turning on every time. Pretty soon, I bet you the dial is just going to tear off and break off at some point because of all the rust. And the rust is because you take the tray out that holds the wax, and you fill it with water, and that water boils and heats the wax. And I guess the condensation, the steam comes out, and I think that's why it's rusting. But I don't know. It's the whole thing is just falling apart. So maybe I'll be putting my wax in the oven, Wax and Prime. We'll see. Dylan commented, so I'm following this video to a T, and I have exactly 1 foot of BBs loaded. 1 foot of BB loaded paracord as the core, plus 2 feet and 1 extra inch for error. However, when it comes to the first belly, the first strand is dropping short of the end of the BB loaded core. Is there a reason for this? Should I keep plating? Should I make the 2 1/2 foot pieces bigger? Or should I make the 2 1/2 foot pieces bigger? If you're dropping them before the BB's end, then yeah. I don't know why that's happening, Dylan. I'm honestly unsure of that, but either take away a few BBs or make that strand longer, because you really don't want to be going from, you don't want to be dropping strand before the BB loaded portion ends. It's just, I don't recommend it. So do what you need to do, one of those two options. Sorry you're having that problem. I don't know what's going on. A comment from Squiddy. The purring of after Tipper arrived was very relaxing. Great episode, Nick. Thank you, Squiddy. Yeah, that was my Siamese cat, Tipper. And she's actually sitting on the chair back here. Look, Tipper. She is. Yeah, this has kind of become a little tradition. Every time I do a podcast, at some point, Tipper comes onto the show and talks about whips. I'd really be interested to hear what she said, what she would have to say about whips if she could talk. I don't know, it's funny. Thanks, Squiddy. I'm glad you found that funny. A comment from Cademan Productions. Thanks for answering my question. I was making an 8-foot snake whip and forgot about using my dropped strands as a new core. I imagine that also helps with the kinks that commonly form when transitioning from 6 to 8 plat. Thanks again. You are very welcome, Cademan. Tipper, what are you doing? You ever look at a cat's face and it causes you to just start laughing for no reason whatsoever? It happens to me a lot. Maybe I'm crazy. Oh, man. Bogey Diamond 123. I'd really like to be in one of your podcasts. Well, you can be. And you, if I'm not mistaken, are a whipmaker, Bogey Diamond 123. And I'm going to start having more people on the show. I've been busy, so it's kind of been hard to schedule having people on the show, but I'm going to try to get that done now, because obviously I'm having trouble sitting here talking to myself and carrying on a conversation. But the questions help. JuiceMan81092. Oh no, and that's the crazy glitch that's been happening every single time I have a podcast. It's probably going to happen on this show too. If I don't, it seems to happen around 2 hours, so it's probably going to happen if this thing carries on for 2 hours. I kind of hope it doesn't, but yeah, we might have that problem, that crazy glitch. My friend Danny, who I was telling you about earlier, who has the South Shore Audio and who owns this microphone, he told me that the sample rate I was recording at, he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, is what caused that crazy glitch. You want to go? All right. Tipper wants to leave now. Get There 85. Would you ever consider doing a leather whip tutorial? Yes, but I wouldn't really call it a tutorial. I wouldn't say, this is what you do here. Then you do that. It would be more of, this is how I do it. My friend Blake Bruning of Trinity Whips does it this way, and I agree that it's better, but I just can't do that yet. My friend Blake Bruning of Trinity Whips, he hand cuts all of his strands, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But it's obviously a better method. If you can do it, it's faster. I can't do it. So I use all these crazy methods. So I could do it, but it wouldn't really be per se a tutorial. It would be Nick Schrader's method of making a kangaroo hide bullwhip. So I might do it Get There 85. We'll see. Eric Nelson says that crazy happening with the sample rate is a glitch in the matrix. Pretty much what it is, man. First time it ever happened, it scared me to death. I didn't know what was going on. I was losing my mind. Eric Kruckenberg. Interesting, but you're not a Belmont. Yet. I don't know what that means. Game of Thrones, maybe? I don't know. It was on my the 20-foot target whip video where I had that big, disgusting duct tape whip. And then I was cutting that foam cup in half with water. Thomas says, I use medical tape in my whips. That's fine. Medical tape is actually really similar to hockey tape, so that's fine. Thomas also says, you were the Bob Ross of whip making. I appreciate it. Again, Thomas. I should tally up all the times I've been told that. I really do take it as a compliment. Here's a comment from Gordon on podcast number 7. Hi, Nick. I also found your channel through watching the King of Random video. I made the first whip that Nate made and thought that it was cool for creating a first run whip to understand the basic concept of whip making, or of making one. Then I found a link to your bull whip video and was incredibly happy to find someone that maintains such a high quality of construction without piling on specialty tools and equipment. I'm planning to work on a snake whip with the help of your videos. Thank you for what you do and your patience and willingness to explain what you're doing and why. Thank you, Gordon. That's kind of my thing. I've always been sort of a DIY person. I've always enjoyed building things with my hands. And I kind of credit that to my father because he was always like that, and he still is very much so like that, kind of an improviser. And that's having those genes kind of helped me to make this channel possible. So, yeah, thank you, Gordon. I'm glad you noticed that and saw that that's what I was going for, and I appreciate it. And let me know how your future whips go, man. Lilani commented on the waxing a nylon whip video and says, "Hi, 1 or 2 years back, it seems there was a conversation here about using wax versus spray on waterproofing. I've done this without any problems. Was the conversation deleted for some reason?" And I let you know, actually. I said, no, I don't delete comments. So I don't know what happened to it. Could have been on another video, Lilani. So I'm not sure. But you used a spray-on wax, and it worked. So that's awesome. I'd like to know what is the name brand of that spray-on wax. I'd really like to know that. There's a comment from Mick. I like the wood handle concept. I'll echo some comments. Wax is okay for wood. Look at carbide tools. Watch Cap and Eddie for some tutorials. And EXP his finishing. Sand and finish the handle while on the lathe. Thanks for the tutorials. You're good at it. Thank you, Mick. I appreciate it. Yeah, when I made that video, I knew next to nothing about using a lathe, and it's questionable whether or not I should have even made a video at that point on doing so. Like I said earlier, I'm probably going to be doing a recent video, or doing a kind of a catch-up video, like this is what I didn't know then, which is everything, and this is what I learned from you guys. So thank you, Mick. I appreciate that. Cap and Eddie, he's the man when it comes to turning wood on a lathe. So I appreciate it. Jared asks, is the tape you use hockey or athletic? I use hockey tape. Athletic tape is almost the same. I don't like athletic tape because it doesn't have that strong fish smell. That's another crazy inside joke. It's All Wood commented on the original video. It's taking me about 15 minutes. And there's the water softener. We have to listen to that. What are you going to do? It's taking me about 15 minutes per BB to slide down. I have to squeeze each BB about 1/8 of an inch at a time. Why is a 1/4 inch core so tight for me, but slide down for you just fine? I'm not sure. It's All Wood. I recommend using a 3/8 inch sinker cord for the core today. It's what I use today. And it's going to allow those BBs to slide through much, much easier. So I'm sorry you had that problem. I'm not sure why it is. If you had the same material that I was using, I don't know. I'm sorry. Let's see here. It's All Wood. You followed up. I actually messaged you back. And yeah, I gave you a link to the 3/8 inch sinker cord. And you said that is interesting. And it even specifies that it can fit BBs. I was so frustrated with it because when you did it, they slid in pretty easily. I was excited to start on the bellies. That is so strange. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I'm sorry. I don't know. Here comes a cat down from the ceiling. Don't hurt yourself. Tommy says, thanks, great as always. I appreciate it, Tommy. Ben says, great tutorial. Thanks. I've used this method to incorporate your bird's eye pattern into the handles of a few whips, and it works great. Thanks, Ben. I'm glad it was helpful to you. Let's see. Hang on. Well, hello. How are you? Got a cat just jumped down from the ceiling. That's crazy. Crazy stuff's going on. Email asks, do you remove the core of the parachute cord before plating? Yes, I do every single time. DMGD, what if I used less of a plat? How would that affect the function? This is a comment or a question on my current snake whip making method. You can do it. There's nothing wrong with it. Actually, I've made a few 12 plat whips since my current snake whip making method that was in 16 plat. And in some applications, I prefer 12 plat. In others, I prefer the 16 plat. If the 3-foot snake whip, or if the snake whip is 3 feet, that is, I like it to be 12 plat. And you can take the overlay strand lengths that you saw in my current snake whip making video for 2018 and add a foot to every single strand of the overlay and subtract that 16th strand. And give that a try, actually. It's sometimes a better option, I think, if the whip is shorter. Excuse me. There's a comment from It's All Wood. It's the other cat. Well, it took about 7 hours, but I got all the BBs in. Spent about 5 to 6 hours on it and just put my cracker on. Wow. I'm sorry that took you so long. It's All Wood. Tried cracking it indoors, as I didn't want to go outside since it's cold and dark. But the way you crack yours at the end, it looks like you didn't have to flick your wrist and arm very hard. And I feel like mine won't be like that. I also did a crappy job with my overlay, as every 3 or 4 inches there's a twist or an overlapping strand. Not sure how I managed to do that, but might have to watch your newer videos. Managed to crack sort of indoors, I think, but not sure if that was just from the cracker hitting the ceiling. Could be. I'm optimistic, though. So I took it outside, and I think it cracked. It just sounded it didn't sound very loud, so maybe it was just the cracker hitting the snow, not sure. It doesn't look great, so maybe it's not tight enough. Needless to say, it'll be a while before I do that again. I was sweating like crazy pretty much through the entire process. I felt the same way It's All Wood. When I made my first whip, I actually told myself, Nick, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And then I made another one. And then I made a third one, and I was hooked. Turn back while you can, It's All Wood. No, it's something that I know it's discouraging seeing these things, but I guarantee you, if you make another one, it's going to be better, and they only get better from here. Make sure that you're rolling the thing heavily and all the way out. Roll that overlay, and that's going to also help just even out the tension of all the bellies and contribute to the whip cracking better. So hopefully next time you'll have a smoother experience. It's All Wood. I'm sorry that took so long. Comment from Ted. I know this is an old video and you have changed some of your ways you do your plating, but what if you did like the way you did the fire whip and drop 2 at a time? You could drop 2 reds, then 2 blacks, then 2 reds, then 2 blacks, and get a lot further down the whip before losing the pattern. Just an idea from someone just starting. But having the benefit... Sorry. Something just fell in the other room and I didn't know what it was. But having the benefit of watching more recent videos that you have made. Thank you for those videos. You have a very good demeanor for instructional videos. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it. You're right. That is something, I don't know why I didn't consider doing that, but dropping 2 strands at the same time will preserve a pattern until further notice, basically all the way down the whip. So that's a great idea, Ted, and I appreciate it. That's on the Coral Snake whip video. A comment from Bobby. I keep ending dropping 2 strand at once. Is it normal? I keep ending dropping 2 strand at once. No, you don't. If you're not trying to maintain a pattern, you shouldn't be dropping 2 strands at the same time. Or I don't recommend it. It's just it'll help the taper if you don't do that. A comment from Juicy. Y'all should check out the channel Adam CWM. It's Adam Winrich's channel. Yes, you should. I would be surprised if you're listening to this podcast and you are unaware of my friend Adam Winrich. Excellent whip maker and whip cracker. Fight Squad 67. What are the strand lengths for the big red 10-foot whip, if you don't mind sharing? Yes, you should be able to find the strand lengths for the 10-foot whip on nickswhipshop.com and the strand lengths page. Carolyn says, my dad makes whips. That's awesome, Carolyn. What is your dad's name? Because there is actually a pretty likely chance that I've heard his name or know of who he is. I'd like to know who he is. I'm always looking to meet new whip makers. Josie Whipmaking says, thanks. You are welcome, Josie Whipmaking. Thanks for the comment. Jody says, Nick, great vids. Keep up the good work. I've watched many of your videos. However, I have not taken the time to go through comments. My question for you is as follows. Is there a book, website, link, etc. that you could share with me that already calculated the paracord lengths for the bellies and overlay for a wide variety of plat? Thanks in advance for any input. Yes, Jody. I don't know of anybody else who shares strand lengths for whips, but I do on my website, nickswhipshop.com. And at the top of the page, you'll see where it says, I think, whip making, and there's a whole page designated to strand lengths for different overall length whips. And I'm always editing that, and I'm always adding more more options to that page. So check that out, Jody. Hope that helps. That trick Paul did at 8:05, the loop went around the other's head as it retracted, for God's sake. Yes, Paul Nolan has this awesome trick. Paul Nolan of Midwest Whips, that is. And he does this awesome thing where he throws a forward crack, a cattleman's crack, and while he's throwing the whip, he flails his wrist 90 degrees, and the whip will, the loop will flow all the way down, and at the last second, it'll just go 80 degrees or go 90 degrees to one side and cut. Awesome trick by Paul Nolan. Comment from Chris. Where do you get your 550 paracord? Paracord Planet is too small diameter. Yes, it is. I became well aware of that early on. For my falls, I've had to use premium paracord from Home Depot to be able to thread down the middle. But that's $6 for 50 feet, and only gray and black. I want to get multiple colors, but don't know how to order from online. I don't want to waste money trying stuff that doesn't work. Chris, this is what you need to do. Make sure, it doesn't really matter where you're getting it, but make sure that you are ordering 550 Type 3 military grade parachute cord with the 7 strands inside. If you're ordering military grade parachute cord, you shouldn't have a problem. If you have a problem and it's smaller diameter, then the company could be in serious trouble for selling military grade parachute cord that is not in fact military grade parachute cord. That's not good if they're doing stuff like that, because people use this stuff obviously for parachutes, and if it's not up to standard, then that's not good. That's dangerous. So Chris, make sure you're getting military grade parachute cord, and for your let's see. Yeah, that's what you're going to want to do, Chris. I hope that helps you. Skadude123 just wanted to say thank you for posting this video. Have a 10-foot nylon whip, bull whip I was gifted 22 years ago that is in need of repair. With your video, I should be able to tie the hitch and create a new fall. Wow, that's pretty cool. 22-year-old parachute cord whip. That's cool. Or nylon bullwhip, 22 years old. I'd love to see a picture of that, Skadude. 123. That'd be really cool. Can you give a link to the actual name of the floor mat material and maybe a link to Dacron? Yes, I can do that. Jose says Ghosty. Let's see. Comment from Steve. I was wondering, I'm making my first whip. I hear about waxing the whip when you're done. I don't have that stuff, but I have made a lot of paracord bracelets. If someone tells me theirs is too loose, I get water to a boil and put their bracelet in the water for a few seconds, and it shrinks nicely. Then it fits them fine. Can you do this with a whip? Pour hot water from the kettle over the whip to shrink and tighten the whip. I'm sure it shrinks the paracord. I'm not sure would I ruin the whip if I did that. Thanks. Steve, waxing a whip actually does essentially the same thing and gives you some benefits of waterproofing. So if you have any access to paraffin wax and a means of heating it up, heat it up to 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit and drop the whip in there for about a minute or two, and that heat will tighten those strands. That's another thing that makes waxing a whip so great, is that it tightens those strands and makes the whip flow better. And it's better than water. I don't know if water would be a good idea. I feel like it wouldn't be. Or it wouldn't benefit, really. It might tighten the strands, but why not use wax? That has a multi-purpose. Another comment from It's All Wood. I managed to do this, but I only have the one color and didn't want to risk messing up what I had already done, so I just ended up with the primary color. You can tell on mine that it could afford to have another go around, but I'm happy with how mine turned out. Now to look for a video on how to do the other part to cover the transition from the diamond plait to the herringbone. That's a comment on my 6x7 two-tone heel knot, Turk's head knot. Thanks, It's All Wood. I appreciate it. Okay. Another comment from It's All Wood. Hey, Nick, what part of Indiana are you located? I'm in northeast Indiana. I'm having a lot of trouble following the video, even when I pause it many times. Do you ever show whip making in person? Yes. I'm in northwest Indiana, so I can't be more than like 2.5 hours away from you. It's All Wood. I'd be happy when it gets a little bit warmer to meet up at a park. Let me know. We can make some whips together in the park. Yeah, that'd be fun. Dylan says, is this just for waterproofing, or does it make the whip just overall better? I'm talking about waxing. Yes, it does make it overall better. That's something that I've recently discovered, that it does tighten those strands, as we just discussed. It makes the whip flow better. It makes it more springy. Comment from Thomas. Hi, I'm Thomas Young. I was just wondering that, if you don't mind me asking, but how long did it actually take you to make the bullwhip? And that's a comment on the original 6-foot bullwhip tutorial. Well, since I was filming, it took a long time. Much longer time than it would have, but that whip took me about probably 15 hours. That's how long it was taking me to make a 6-foot bullwhip. Those days, about 15 hours total. Now I can do it in about 9 to 10 hours. Comment from, let's see, Jason on the original video. Nick, thank you. I'm going to have to make this bigger because, there we go. A little bigger. Okay. Nick, thank you so much for the detailed tutorial video. Your instructions were very easy to follow. The hardest part for me was to get my hands on the BBs in New Jersey. Interesting. I had to cross state lines and go to a Walmart in Suffern, New York. New Jersey has ridiculous laws concerning BBs. That's crazy. Why? .177 caliber ammunition requires a license to be purchased legally in... What? You're kidding me. Requires a license to be purchased legally in New Jersey? Why? It's spherical steel. That's crazy. However, once I took the drive, actual construction took about 8 hours. I must repeat myself, your tutorial was very well presented and easy to follow. For my first whip, I feel that I have made a good quality product. I have a few ideas I wish to experiment with in the future to add strength and spring to the handle transition. Also, I get more practice with my plating. I hope to achieve smoother tapers. My whip has a small asymmetrical dip where I dropped 2 strands in my plating. I allowed the strands to run out too close to each other. First whip and all, I learned and will avoid... first whip and all, I learned and will avoid that in the future. I'm having a tough time reading here for some reason right now, sorry. I will post an update upon completing my second as well. These paracord whips are very accurate to aim. I enjoy target practice with it very much. Me too, that's one of my favorite things to do with a whip. It handles very well, and I can crack overhead. Cattleman's crack, I believe it is called. Yes, you're right. Around 70% of the time. I can crack the whip most often 80% of the time using an underhand and a sidearm crack. Since I am a beginner, I wear safety glasses. That's very smart. I used to do that too. And have already kept my eye due to this precaution. That's good. I have already shot loaded my core for my next project. I'm working on an 8-foot bullwhip this time, and I'll be attempting a diamond pattern in my plating. Black and royal blue. Beautiful colors for a whip. Thank you again for your time spent on making the video. I would have never been able to attempt this had I not stumbled across your videos. Thank you so much, Jason. I can't believe that about New Jersey, like a license to purchase BBs? That's insane. Wow. I'm sorry it's been hard. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be a help to you, Jason. Let me know how your future whips go. There's a comment from Dustin. Thank you. The Paracord Guild is useless. I've been trying to make a flogger, and they never show how to start the herringbone pattern, and I end up with a perfect front and a crappy back because it wasn't starting it correctly. Well, I'm glad you were able to see that more clearly in my video. What do you do when your FID doesn't fit inside your rather tight paracord? I get the Akatech FID from Amazon. I tried fishing a string through and pulling the string, but it keeps breaking before the cord comes all the way through. Any pro tricks for a novice? Yeah, you're trying to make a fall. And make sure you're getting 550 parachute cord, military type 3 grade, and that's going to help you. If that doesn't work, which it should, get 650 parachute cord from Roy Parton of whipnation.com. Even better. Comment from Aaron. Hello, Nick. I was so impressed with your videos, etc., that I took the leap of faith and tried to make my own. Oh boy, what an error mine turned out to be. Incredibly limp, and I decided to bind the entire thing with hockey tape. It has improved slightly, but not fully, rolling and falling back on itself. I put it aside, not have the courage to return to it for 3 months plus so far. I know your clips have helped hundreds out there to make their own fine whips, and thanks for having them. You're welcome, Aaron. I bet you your first whip was better than my first whip. That's all I have to say. Mine was an absolute disaster. Keep it up, and you'll do better and better every time, I promise you. The Random Project commented and said, "Hey Nick, is it possible to get a shout out?" I will reply a shout out as well. The Random Project, here is your shout out, my friend. I've never been on your channel before, but I'll check you out. And it looks like you do a bunch of like just random projects. That's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I'm going to be building a smoker pretty soon. DIY smoker for smoking briskets and ribs. And that's something I'm going to be doing this spring. So I think that might be right up your alley. That's the Random Project. Check out his channel, guys. Let's see here. A comment from It's All Wood. Hey, Nick, was wondering if you have ever tried cyanoacrylate adhesive. I use it a lot for my pen turning on the lathe. I found with some research and personal experimentation that it bonds very, very, very well to nylon. So with paracord, it could be very promising. My first thought was after I did my transition knot, where I burned the ends, I noticed, especially with the colored, I used dark green, it was almost black when cool. The perfectionist side of me hated that, so I have to decide when I start my next whip tomorrow. I'm going to use some cyanoacrylate, I can't even pronounce that, to adhere it and tuck it under itself so you can't see it. And the bond should be plenty strong enough. Would be cool if you tried it yourself. I definitely will try it. Thank you, It's All Wood. And that's cool that you're into pen turning. I have some pieces of wood that I got from Belforce.com that actually broke that I figured, what do I do with it? And it's big enough to be a pen, so maybe I'll try to turn a pen. Comment from Dylan. How do you put the strands on the first belly, because I cannot get my strands to lay like yours. I made a whip already from the first vid, and I don't have the floor mat. What else can I use? You can use hockey. I don't even use the floor tape, the floor mat tape much anymore. I use hockey tape, and that works just as well, I think, if not better. It's not as bulky, too. That's great. Comment from Eric. Hey, Nick, just a designing tip. I just finished my second whip, and I got really frustrated trying to figure out a 2-strand diamond plait on a 16-plait whip, so I ended up doing a 4-strand herringbone. I just picked up 4 strands at a time and went under 4, over 4, and actually fell in love with the pattern, and it makes the handle look like a medieval sword handle. Plus, the handle turned out very thin and sleek because of this plait. Try it out if you haven't already. I will try it. I haven't tried that before. No. 2-strand diamond plait. So you're grabbing 1 or 2 strands at the same time? Probably 2. I'll give that a try. Let's see here. Comment from Matt. Great video. I wish I could get a jumbo Permalock needle to find or to feed through my cord that easy. Yeah, that's been kind of a problem lately, Matt. I recommend going with 650 parachute cord for your falls. Bugs says, can you do a herringbone pattern, please? Herringbone pattern is pretty simple. It's if you're in 12 plait, it's 1 strand under 6 over 6. If you're in 16 plait, it's under 8 over 8. I'm getting tired, sorry. If it's 12 plait, it's under 3 over 3. And if it's 16 plait, it's under 4 over 4. Whew. It's 3 in the morning. Sorry. Let's see here. Jake says, give Bob Ross his demeanor back. By the way, great work. Thank you, Jake. E-Roll says, great info. I used a braided 120 pound braided fish line. Braided 120 pound fishing line works great. Interesting. For the binding. Cool. I never tried that before. Let's see. Flex DRG says, hi Nick, do you think a mesh sleeve like this, and there's a link there we'll check out in a second, might work as a replacement for hockey tape or carpet mesh tape? It has no glue to go bad. It is smooth, slippery, smooth / slippery, so you keep smooth movement on the belly below it. And it would give the binding support to not fall into the cracks between the braids, and it's thick, so it will add a bit of bulk too, and it is stretchy, so you keep the fine taper. Let's check out that link right now. Without losing our spot here. That'd be great, wouldn't it? We're almost through all the questions. Wire mesh guard. Yeah, I bet that would work. If it's a large enough diameter, it would probably work fine. Thanks, Flex DRG. I appreciate it. It's interesting because it's kind of like a Chinese finger trap mesh. So it can expand and it can get, if you pull it, it gets thinner. So, I mean, yeah, try it. That's unexplored territory as far as I know. So give it a try. Comment from Vaughn, best whip maker ever. You are very kind, Vaughn, to say something like that. I wish I believed that too. I have a long way to go in whip making, but you're very kind. Thank you. And here is the last comment of the night by Dead Neck 90. My neck's pretty dead. I'm dead tired. Thank you, sir. You should do a few videos on plating, yeah? Overs and unders, number of strands, dropping strands, etc. Just saying. Keep it up. Great. Keep it up, though, Nick. Doing great. Thank you so much, Dead Neck 90. I appreciate that very kind comment. And that comment came in while we were recording. That came in an hour ago. So thank you so much. And if you guys have any questions, leave comments. And I'll do my best to answer them live on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a little rough. I had the camera rolling the whole time, actually. I didn't think I would do that. So I will see you next time on Whipcast. I'm your host, Nick Schrader. Have a good morning, good night, good afternoon. And I'll see you later. Thanks for listening.